Welcome back, guys, to the Turf Nutrition and Management Podcast. It is myself, Kevin Salters, with my co-host, Douglas Gray, and today we are going to just kind of do a debrief of 2023. And how was your Christmas, and how are you doing today, Doug?
Christmas was good. Everybody's battling the infamous cold that's going around.
Isn't that the truth?
I don't wish this one on my worst enemy, to be honest with you. It was, I'm just literally getting over it after, and I say that not convincingly either, because I still have a little bit of a congestion in my nose, but other than that, it was an awesome Christmas. Got to see my family on both sides, my wife's side, my side, and it's always good to see family that you don't see as often as you like, just because we all live busy lives. But how about you?
Well, mine was a little different than I was planning for a couple of reasons. We haven't talked about it much on the air, but I was scheduled for a hip replacement on the 27th, which leading up to it, I'm like, no big deal. I'll go to all the family events, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to get sick. Well, I got a little bit of a cold on Thursday, and now I go into panic mode because literally this procedure was postponed a year ago, just needing enough time to recover so I can go back out on the turf. Last year, when I went to go see my doctor, it could have been right around the end of February is when she could have done it. And it just really, she would have been happier if I had more time on rest.
Right.
So 7 days before this procedure, because it's pretty aggressive. I mean, they cut the top of your femur off. They pound in a titanium spike into your bone marrow. So they're worried about diseases and infections because that's going to go straight to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
I have to 7 days go off of any medication, which I don't take any, but I take a bunch of supplements. So we had to take off of that. But then you couldn't take anything because you had a little bit of a cold,
right?
Which is fine. Like I can deal with the cold part of it. And does over-the-counter medication actually help with a cold? Who knows? So I basically sat home while my family went to a few of the family events and just drank as much lemon water and water as I could, hit the sauna, and I got it through where I had my procedure on Wednesday, the 27th. So it worked out. It was, I was nervous that I wasn't going to be able to make the appointment. I really was.
I think like mine lasted a solid 2 weeks, the cold that I had. And like I said, I don't know if I'm totally out of it yet, but it lasted a solid 2 weeks. I overdosed on cough drops. I just, for some reason, whenever I have a cold, I like having a cough drop. It makes me subconsciously feel better, I guess. And, NyQuil didn't do a damn thing. It didn't make me sleep better. I think this cold just has to run its course, if you want my honest opinion. And, but yeah, man, I'm glad that you're already feeling better, or, you're ready to go. You had it on the 27th, and here we are on the 29th, and we're doing
crazy.
a podcast. Yeah, it is crazy.
So I'll explain that a little bit before we get into our year end. An amazing doctor that I have. I went and saw her a year ago. She enters through the front, so it's an anterior replacement. They can go through the back, the posterior. She's more in. This is the more modern way of doing it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So they cut nothing other than your skin. They move muscle and tendon, so there's no cut of muscle that you have to worry about. And they just move everything out of the way. They get their saws all in there, chop things off, pound things in, do what they got to do, close you up, and ship you out the door. It's a 1 hour. That's all it is from start to finish.
God, when you told me that, I was like, what?
She says it's 45 minutes, her job. But by the time they knock me out and wheel you out of there, it's 1 hour. She had 8 of them lined up for Wednesday when I was there.
Oh my gosh.
And she had 3 in front of me, and mine was at 9 o'clock. I went in at 9:15.
Wow.
It's wild. Yeah. So, the first day, I literally walked out of the car slowly, came in the house. I'm on it's an ice machine. It's a big wrap compression and ice machine that goes off 30 minutes of cold therapy and compression, 30 minutes off. And then I get up and walk 5 minutes the other day and yesterday. Now, literally, my wife brought me to the store. We just walked around Home Depot just for an easy place to walk.
Mm-hmm.
I got a haircut, a brand new pair of sneakers, and a coffee. And here I am for the podcast. And I'm walking around like nothing happened. Sure,
wow.
I can't do anything crazy, but the pain is not, I'm not on pain meds. I've had my shoulder redone. I've had 4 hernias. I was actually nervous about this one because just the whole theory of them chopping a bone off, whacking something in, and I kind of liked my original equipment, but I don't have it anymore. And I had a little hypertension going in. My blood pressure was way up, and the doctor came in. She's like, "Listen, Kevin, this piece of cake, da 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 da." Anyway, she was gonna do it. She chopped me up, and I'm so glad I do it. It's wild. I feel this good.
Wow.
So
I'm amazed.
yep.
I'm
And the only
amazed.
thing she says is, and she called today to check in. Their nurse calls every day. In the first day, twice a day. She's a sweetheart. I mean, just what a professional setup they have running. She called me today, Amy Wasterlin, and she asked me how I'm doing. I told her everything that I'm doing. She's like, "This is amazing." She goes, "I told you to do well." I says, "Where do we go from here?" She goes, "Listen, it takes 3 months really for the bone to adhere to that titanium, which that's why we do it now. By mid-March, I can go out and bounce on the machines and not have to worry about anything." And she goes, "After that, you're good to go." She goes, "You can, whatever you feel like doing right now." She goes, "I want you to walk a quarter mile a couple times a day and then come back and go on your ice. And that's all. That's your therapy."
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's
So it's
awesome.
good. I'm
Yeah,
happy
I'm
it's done.
amazed. I'm amazed. It's
I am too, actually.
how far
I
it's
really
come.
am.
I mean, I just, my dad's had 3 knee replacements, and or maybe it was 2, and I think it was 2, and he just had the one he had done before done at the same time as his other knee. So technically it was 3, but it was done twice, let's say.
Yeah.
And just the recovery that he had to go through with that was just like,
It's all changed. And she does knees as well. And she goes, they are more aggressive. She says, but they're not like everyone remembers in the past of the
yeah,
horrible pain and totally different. The technology is constantly changing, which is good that we have these scientists
absolutely.
and these colleges doing what they're doing for the medical side.
Absolutely. Because I couldn't imagine having to, because I know I'm going to need a knee replacement in the next probably 5 years, and hopefully longer, but within that time frame, and not looking forward to it, but I'm glad that these things have progressed, and they're a lot easier than they were back in the day.
Uh, Honestly, and it's hard to say because she assured me, other people that have had it assure me, it's a piece of cake. It's a piece of cake. When it's your time, it's amazing on how far the technology, it really, it's a piece of cake. It's like crazy. It's wild. So
I can't believe we're saying that, but
yep,
it's just
it's
just
nuts.
fun. Yeah, it is.
It's nuts. So anyway, back to get out of my soap story and we'll go back to our season. I mean, we had, geez, the season's over, Doug. I mean, it's nuts. This is going to be episode 45 or 46.
One of those. I don't
Yep.
remember.
It's not quite 52 of a full year. We didn't start right at January 1st last year, but I mean, we've come a long way. I mean, we've
Absolutely.
looking at the analytics right now. We have 11,000 plays, which is awesome. We are in, I think, 12 countries. And our top 3, well, we'll go our top 4 is United States, United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada. Those are our main feeds right now, which we thank all the listeners that are out there.
Absolutely.
It's wild. I mean, Australia is a 20-hour plane flight on the other side of the equator, and they're listening to us.
I know did you say the England as well, UK?
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
I know there's a few in the UK. I mean, there might be more than just a few. But a few have reached out to me on LinkedIn and said they listen to it every week, and they
It's so cool.
they can't wait for Tuesdays to come around. And one of them is, I forget which club it is, but one of the English Premier League clubs. The guy who takes care of the turf is one of the listeners out there. It's pretty cool. I mean, I haven't had any in-depth conversation with him, but he reached out to me on LinkedIn and just said, "Wow, this is awesome." And he had a relative in North Carolina who was having some issues with their lawn and asked me to point them in the right direction. So I did.
So I'm going to just try to remember off the top of my head all the guests that we've had on, and you're going to help. I'll need help with this because I'm literally not looking at the computer with it. But I think when we started in the very first beginning, we had Dan Listener on for 1 and 2 episodes.
Yep.
Doug, Derek DeBlois.
Yep.
Christopher Stout.
Correct.
Then we had Megan Coberly from the landscapingbookkeeper.com. Correct. And then we had Sheila Chaplin, certified financial planner, which I use both of those people.
Correct.
Then we had O2YS, He is,
back in the spring.
and his name is,
Mark Nichols.
that's it. I knew you knew that off the top of my head. Yep, we had that guy on. We've had, let's see, more recently, we had our social media gal,
Yep.
creative content by Jessica, who is just killing it. She's got some wicked cool stuff lined up. She also, we are now on YouTube. Now here's our big announcement, and that is all of her. So she has that all set up and helping to get videos posted. We're going to try to change things up with that because they're so long. I mean, people don't want to sit and look at our ugly mugs, but she says it is another way for people just to listen, even if they're not looking, that don't pay for Spotify. We are on every streaming platform of Spotify, Apple, Google, there's a few more that are knower name brands that are out there, but it's just another channel. But we are going to be doing some smaller clips on YouTube and some more informational stuff, but it'll also be a great way for us to tape when we do our know your numbers and what's in your bag deal, to have those on YouTube so people can actually see the whiteboards that we do. So Jessica's been a huge help to us. Let's see who else we have had.
We had. I'm going through it right now because I can't remember everything either. So, well, we had Steel Grade on.
Caleb
on here.
Yeah.
I'm scrolling through, so it might take me a few. Well, just a couple weeks ago or last week, whatever it was, we had Glenn Stevens and
Matt
Kenya,
Nutmeg State. Yep.
Nutmeg State. So let's see. I know there's quite a few more. So
we had Ian Thomasek.
Thomasek. Yep, I was just getting to him.
Good. And then Evan Knowles.
Chris Stout again. We had Chris Stout as a follow-up.
There's rumors that we're going to be doing a live down at his facility in end of January.
Oh, nice. Love it.
Because I'm feeling so good, I can travel. So I'm going to come down there. We're going to do a few down there. Yeah. Jason Spears. We need another one with him too.
Jason from Creative Content. Let's see. Evan Knowles down in Florida.
Yep.
Elite Environmental Solutions. Brandon Welsh from Welsh Turf Solutions.
Actually, we owe him a second one because we need to get on that, which would be great with the
growth regulators.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
I am too, because I just don't know enough about them and I want to learn.
Well, I don't think any of us do. Well, I mean, I don't think look, I'm not saying that I know everything about everything, but like, I don't know everything there is about growth regulators, but I do know that it hasn't been an emphasis in the lawn care industry, which I think it should be, especially with some of the things that we go through in the spring, with the grass growing out of control and we cut it too short. So anyway, Paul Jameson, we had on a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And then the last one, which I believe was just released this week, was Vince Dole from Keeping It Green.
Yes, sir.
River, New Jersey. And then it's just, we're going to finish off the year with you and I talking about what went on this year.
Yeah. And one that is in the queue that will be coming out is Ezra McCarthy from Green Frog Website Designs, which we are going to be working with and partnering with. And I think that episode, the audio is a little rough just because he's in British Columbia and he was on a phone going back and forth, and there's some cutout here and here, but the information I think is priceless.
Agreed.
It's something that we all need to step our game up, and he can definitely help in the right ways of getting those leads that we need directly to where we want them from. So that'll be a great episode. That'll be after the first of the year. That'll come out. I got some editing and work to do on that. Again, I kind of pushed everything off with my hip, not knowing what I could do or not, but here I am sitting at a desk like nothing's ever happened. So I'll get back to my homework. Yeah. So yeah, we've had some great guests. We look forward to a ton more. And please, if you want to be on, reach out. Doesn't matter if you're a one-man band with 100 customers or 20 customers to 1,000 customers. We just want to talk. We can learn from you. You can learn from all of us. And that's how this thing continues to grow.
Absolutely. 100%. And, that's what we're here for, to get everybody to help teach more, and hell, we're learning more too. So
absolutely.
It's a great thing.
The growth regulator one, I can't wait for it just because I don't know enough about it. And sure, you have some knowledge of it, but someone that is using it all the time, especially come from the golf side, geez, we can learn so much from that.
Well, even back when I was in golf, I want to say Trinexapac Ethyl, which is, Primo. Trinexapac is the scientific name. It wasn't like, I think it might have just come out like as I was coming out of the golf market. And it wasn't like something that was like everybody was using because it was a growth regulator. There was a lot that went into research down the road to get that used even more frequently in golf. But I actually started using it when I was at Lipinski Landscape for our commercial sites. And man, it was awesome. Um, just kept things in check. Guys weren't mowing it because I will say, probably back in the 90s, we didn't go in and cut 5 inches of turf off at one given time. We actually rose the mowing height up and, you know, took it down to the 2.5, 3 inches. But at the same time, it really helped us in the spring, being one of the biggest landscape companies in the country at that time.
Yeah.
It really helped out production in the spring. And, I really encourage a lot of people, whoever you buy it from, to pick the right one if you're going to try it. But, if you're not sold on it totally, pick a town or pick one commercial site and go try it and see, and you'll see what it does. But, just not a one-time thing. You got to spray it at least twice, and you will definitely improve your production time.
I'm just looking at the analytics right now, just at awe, really. I'm kind of blown away because we had no idea what was going to happen when we started this. And
Nope.
by all means, we are no social media diehards or anomalies. We're just trying to talk about turf and have other people talk about turf. And the YouTube deal, and we just ask if you could go over and just like and become a follower. It's only going to bring our show up. And it's not that we're getting money for any of this, because Doug and I get zero money for any of this. There's nothing.
Nope.
And not that we're not doing it for that. And the YouTube deal, it's not like we're going to be one of those guys like Spencer Lawn Care or those guys that are making great money off of what they're doing, because we aren't content creators. But we just want the notoriety so that the more views that we have or likes and subscribes, the more it just pops up and we can get out to more people. That we're in a real niche market. It's not like people are going to listen to us if they're a tree company or this and that. Sure, we may get that, but we're pretty small compared to the other people that are out there in available markets. And we just want to help to continue that to grow.
I think it's fun. It's a lot of fun in my opinion.
Love
it. The guests that we've had, just even talking about 2023, another year that is going down in history as like one of those head scratchers, but how do I say, these are the years that you got to learn from, and hopefully we are, and we can make 2024 the best turf we've ever had, and that's the ultimate goal, is to every year keep making it better and better. And I love it.
Yeah. I'm looking at the ratings. We're getting five-star ratings from everyone that is actually chiming in on that, which we completely appreciate. And please forgive me for not mentioning this before, but when you have a guest on, you don't want to interrupt what they're doing. And this is kind of the time we can digress and kind of go through all this heebie-jeebie stuff. While most of our listeners are probably on downtime. Sure, we have our Southern guys and out in the far West that are still going, so we want to keep activity for them as well. But guys are kind of in the repair mode, the ones that I've been talking to, and renewal season is here, so we want to talk a little bit about that. Matt from Nutmeg State and I have been going back and forth of what our increases we think are going to be for the year, which is important to make sure that you are increasing and not decreasing. Because what did I hear a thing about inflation? It's not
17.5%.
But the gaslighting that's going on, they talk about it as inflation lowering, but it's not. It's a deflation. It's a deflation of the increase that we had. It was explained by this guy very, very well, where we're not back to a zero start, where we're actually on the negative side. And if everyone remembers those number charts as kids, you have to get to that zero before you can go to the negative side of the number line. We're not there yet. So we have a reduction of the inflation that was caused, but it's nowhere near to the starting point we started from.
Well, that's the gaslighting in politics. It's,
unfortunately,
on
both sides. I'm not saying what side of it.
They both suck.
It's baffling. We pick them and put them in office.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, just go to the grocery store and see if your grocery bill has gone down, because it hasn't. I was just at BJ's today, picking up some stuff for. I don't know we're actually going to have a party with just my family, just nobody's coming over because some of us are still sick, but just got some things, and I'm just looking at the prices and I'm like, oh my God, last year would have been half this cost. And it's insane. But anyway, yeah, the gaslighting that's going on it's incredible.
Yeah, and it's renewal time, so I'm hoping most people have figured out their plans for next year and have a good idea of where their costs are going to be, and don't be fooled by the lowering gas prices and all that stuff, because not that they're going to sneak back up and get us. We don't know that typically.
That's got nothing to do with the president anyway, the gas prices.
Correct, but it does seem to trend with an election that they somehow,
I agree.
whoever has that magic button gets them a little bit lower, and interest rates are going to go down too.
They have.
Because of the election. They have because
they have,
which is great for everyone. However that's happening, it helps us all. But I think we just want to talk about, don't be fooled by it, because
well, one of the things that I actually just heard this morning. I forget what I was watching, because I woke up at 2:00 in the morning, couldn't go back to sleep. So I was watching TV, and they were talking about, people buying a new home, and it's $1,000 more to buy a home today than it was 2 years ago as a mortgage, because of the interest rates. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's insane. And then the whole car thing came into play. It was like, they were talking about cars, and it's like, don't buy a car right now, because there's going to be a fire sale. Because, and I'm not saying that this is going to, be $20,000 less for a car, but there are so many vehicles in these lots right now, and nobody's buying them because nobody wants to spend $700 a month for a car payment anymore, because everything else has gone up. And I was just like, wow, I didn't even realize that. I mean, I'm lucky that I don't have a car payment. Even my wife's car is paid off. So, but at the end of the day, it's, I can't imagine having to go buy a new car right now.
Oh.
And even let's say, call it a sedan, a good sedan with it loaded, it's going to cost you 30 grand. And if you got no money or a car to put down, I mean, that's what, I don't know, $500 or $600 a month.
Oh, all of that. And then, yeah. And
plus insurance.
A friend of ours is a general manager at a car dealer, and we've done some business. So my daughter, when she got back from Italy, went to go see about upgrading her used car to another used car. And he was honest. He was like, Jenna, it's not the time. And he explained everything out. He goes, people, unfortunately, because of the prices, are financing out 7 years. When you and I, 3 years was a deal, and 5 was like, ooh, that's kind of scary. Mm-hmm. And then it moved out and moved. He goes, they're financing them for 7 years just to get them into a payment structure that they can feel comfortable with, which is really, really sad, because it's not zero. If it's 0% interest, go ahead, use their money. God bless them. But it's not anymore. I
was with a customer a couple of weeks ago, and I did not know this, and I may have said this on a previous podcast, but sorry, I'm eating a cough drop.
No worries.
He was saying that, a commercial loan for a truck is like 10%. Are you
I'm blown away.
I mean, I couldn't even believe it. I had no idea. And it's amazing to me that even how we're still functioning with all these costs that have gone up. And I mean, it's just a matter of time before everybody's insurance goes up. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, it's crazy. It's funny you mentioned insurance. It's not a big deal, but my commercial insurance was due at the end of the month. It always is. And all of a sudden I see this month there's a $30 service fee on there. I'm like, what? So I call. Unfortunately, it took all week to get an answer because, well, I was out of commission and yada, yada, yada. So they called back, and now because I pay by credit card, there's a $5 whack every time you do that. Yep. And here's 6 payments for the year. I'm like, interesting. I mean, in my state, Connecticut, we can't push that onto our clients. It's illegal for us to do it. But because this insurance company is out of our state that we buy it through, yeah, we have a broker in the state, they can push it onto me. So, all these little things and these little charges are still going to be whacked at us. So again, just going back to make sure you have some type of increase, because that increase, and Doug, you've said this a million times, and this was this was a model in our commercial world and Brightview that's the raise for you and your guys. If
Yep.
your guys are going to come to you, and ladies, your team is going to come to you and want more money.
Yep.
And Connecticut, January 1st, raises their unemployment. I'm sorry, their, the hell's it called? The minimum wage up 62 cents. I've been part of those walkouts back in the previous company on that day that happened, that the guys came in and said, okay, well, they were smart. Now, these were Spanish Latino guys, which I love and appreciate, and they're amazing workers. They're also very intelligent. And they came to me and says, okay, El Jefe, this went up this much. This is this percent. I want my pay to go up this percent because someone walking in the door is going to get this. And now my rate is lower. And middle of snow season, what do? I mean, they have me over a barrel.
Show me the money.
But they were smart about it. They didn't just come and say, I want more money. It literally was July 1st when I was handing out the paychecks for them for shoveling. They hit me with that. So you need that percentage of an increase because your team is going to need that increase in their cost of living, the COLA, all that stuff. So that's where it comes from. Either that, or it's going to just come from the direct expense and or profit of your company, which if that's what you want to do, but you're going to go backwards instead of going forward.
Yeah. These credit card fees are, out of control. And we get more and more people who charge by credit card all the time. And, we have something that if you pay within the first 5 days with your credit card, we won't charge you the fee. But after that, we charge you the fee. I think that is fair. We're losing money altogether, right? So if you pay within the first 5 days on a credit card, we'll waive the fee. After that, we do charge the fee.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have slid those last payments I had through there, and I would have bought a new house on points.
I just assumed. But yeah, it's obviously personally, I think we'd rather everyone pay ACH or by check. But it's a, how do I say this? It's a card world we live in. Hell, I use credit card for everything. I want my points just like everybody else, right? And at the same time, I understand it, but as a small business, and probably everybody's small business, take a look at that number at the end of the year and see how much it's costing you to run credit cards every year. Not every month, because you won't see that final number, but take a look at it at the end of the year and see how much that cost you, and how much profit that's taken out of your company.
Yes, but that money is a write-off.
True.
At the end of the year.
Very true.
But
excuse me.
I want people to remember that write-offs are not 100% dollar for dollar.
Correct. That's correct.
So there's a percentage of that becomes a write-off that you get. And the guy I worked for before was Brightview, Mike Russo, he told all the time, he's like, people would come to him, oh, buy it, it's a write-off. He goes, great, but I'll take that $50,000 and pay 28% out of it and have that rest in my pocket instead of buying something and getting a 28% discount on what I just bought. When you need them, that's there.
Yep.
And you take those deductions, but just to buy is tough. And that's, Doug, we've been talking about this off air about that. It stinks at the end of the year that when you do have some additional profits, you do purchase things because, well, if not, you are going to get taxed to the hill on it.
Yep.
And that's where having a really good financial team behind you, and we'll go into our guests with Sheila Chaplin, who I use, we have a plan on what we're going to do. There's money that can be put in a 401k solo if you're getting a paycheck from your business. So if you're actually an employee of your business, you can put almost $22,000
$22,500.
Yep. And
if you're under 54 years old, 22,500, I believe it is the max for the year. I think if you're under 30, I think it's lower than that.
And it's going up next year.
Yeah. But if you're over 54, you can put in as much as 30,000, I think.
Yeah, the catch-up part.
Yeah.
We always talk about us old guys, but the younger guys, it's a great way to take some tax burden off of you and also prepare for your future. I think I've talked about this before. When I was 18 years old, I was going into my bank to make my car payment. And, the best thing I ever got was a cosign from my dad and for a car payment at 18 years old. helped me build credit back then when you needed it, yada, yada,
Yep.
and
Yep.
responsibility. Well, my friend Brian, he was going to put money in his retirement 401k at 18 years old. We both just got out of high school. And I'm like, what the heck is a 401 retirement? Rah, da, da. You know, his Jewish family, they always are very astute with their money and very financially conscious.
Mm-hmm.
I went to my dad and said, hey, should I be doing something like that? Nah, nothing you need right now. Oh my gosh. Even if I put $100 or $200 in that thing at 18, and
Yep.
you know, I have 3 kids, and all of them are in the market. They all have Roths, they all have 401ks, and they're constantly
Likewise.
talking about them, which is amazing. And you know, let's see, the twin boys are 26, my daughter's 22. All of them have been in for a while, and you know, one of my sons, Kyle, he was telling me what he has in it already, and he's excited. And then my daughter the other day says, Dad, you know, if I just do this every month in my Roth, I'll have $1 million by the time I'm 56 years old. I'm like, that's the thinking that we try to train our kids, because
Yeah.
no one trained me that. And it's, I'm not going to say it's the fault of the parents, just because back when we were younger, parents had pensions,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and no one thought the pensions were going away. So the investment that we needed to retire wasn't as big of a deal as it is now. But then the P word got pulled out. You know, there's no
Mm-hmm.
more pensions. The state workers don't have them anymore. Town municipalities don't have them anymore. Teachers barely have them anymore. So now you have to do your own. So there's
Well,
just a PSA to these younger guys to please, 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 just even a little bit of money in that you can, it will make a world of difference.
you know, I think, back when my parents were working, your parents, like you said, they had pensions and whatnot. And, the retiree age was what, 63, then got raised to 65, then to 67, I believe it is now.
You're
Maybe
right.
it's, I
No,
think
it's
that's what it
67
is.
and a half. Yep.
Yeah,
67
67 and a half. And, I watched my parents work until they were that old. I think my dad did retire when he was 65. And, my dad's 83 now. So we work till we're 65 years old. How many years of life do we have left to enjoy ourselves, right? So, I am not working until I'm that age. I mean, I will probably, but just more as a part-time basis. But I will also enjoy life when I can officially say semi-retire. I wish I knew now or then what I know now about money. Definitely. But at the same time, that's why we're talking about it on this podcast. So the younger generation can start saving their money. So maybe they're not working until they're 65, 70 years old, because $100 a week, man, can go a long way. $100 a month can go a long way. 30 years making money. So, I think it's just a good idea. Just keep talking about it. And, because, I have nieces and nephews who they don't do it, and they're in their mid-20s. And I think we have to teach it. We have to teach people how to manage their money. And it doesn't, I'm not saying that you have to listen to us. Go see a
Oh no,
financial
get
advisor.
some professional
Yeah.
help. Absolutely. We just want to like start the fire so you can
Yeah.
go down that path.
Because I wish I did it sooner. My wife is a teacher. She does have a good pension and whatnot for when she retires. I didn't do it as early as she did. But I wish I did, but it was more about having food on the table at that
Yeah.
time. And having to pay bills. And I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, it took until my daughter went to college to really kind of have some financial security, so to say. And um it's a long time. Kids cost a lot of money. So it's hard, but even if you can just put a little bit in every week, you will thank yourself later.
And another option of investing, which I highly recommend, is an HSA,
HSA.
a health savings
Yep.
account. And what that is 100%. This is probably one of the only 100% tax-free
Yep.
investments and tools you can have in your bag. And what that is basically a slush fund for medical expenses. And all right, you're 23 years old and you don't have any medical expenses. Awesome.
Yeah.
But again, if you have a business and you are an employee, so you're filing as an S corporation and you are an employee getting a paycheck, you can use money from the business to funnel over into that HSA account. Now, if you're single, it's 3850 this year. Next year, we'll go up to 4150. Family is 7750, and we'll go up to 8300. And that basically is your debit card for any medical expense. And the cool thing about it is you can save your medical expenses for 5 years and then submit them and just take it out of that account and reimburse yourself. And it's tax-free money. That
Yep.
can be like one of my sons, Zachary, does it. Sunscreen, the list is crazy. Tampons, sunscreen, all that stuff can be, and he's an Excel guy. He has it all in Excel. And then in 5 years, boom, he's going to pay himself. And that's profitable money that has been growing in an HSA tax free and
Yep.
came off his paycheck tax free. So those are just the things that you should reach out to a professional and get more help with, because they're really important tools, but they're also, that money that's sitting there in an HSA and you keep contributing to that as you get older, there's your long-term health care, and it can be
Yep.
passed on to family members. And the cool thing is when you die, it's 100% willable, tax-free, again, like a life insurance policy.
100%.
There's cool stuff.
I started doing that last year, because I capped my 401k, and I'm like, okay, well,
Now what do I do?
yeah, I need them to take more money out because,
All that
um,
podcasting money you're getting, you got to
yeah,
spend it, huh?
yeah, I wish. But it's, at the same time, it's, not having those deductions now with my kids are on their own with that, and not having those deductions, you got to really look at that when you have that issue and say they need to take more tax dollars out because, I don't want to pay the federal government anything at the end of the year. And it's crazy, but I think 2024 really start looking into that one already because I believe that there's a lot of things that are changing. I don't know them. I started looking at it the other day because I started looking at 2023, and just to make sure I was going to be okay with not having owing a lot of money, which it doesn't seem like I am. Um, but 2024, I believe a lot of tax codes changed, and make sure you're aware of that before it gets to the end. Which that's why I'm looking at it now. So if I need to take more money out, I need to take more money out.
And just so you feel a little bit more comfortable, since you're actually going to hear this after the first of the year, if you're providing money from a business into any of these accounts, you have until your tax filing date. So if you're
Mhm.
filing as a business, S corporation, that's March 15th. Personally, that is April 15th. So there is time after the new year that you can still move money over into these
Yep.
accounts. It's not like December 31st at midnight. Oh, I can't do anymore. There
Right.
are certain ones that does apply to, but on the business side of moving that over as an S corporation and an employee of the business, you have until the tax filing date to make those allocations.
Yep.
Just I don't want to scare anyone. They hear it and like, oh, I'm behind the eight ball, sugar cube. And a lot of times people don't know if they have money available until tax preparation. And then if you have a good tax preparer, they should be at that day like, okay, here's your taxes. We have this X amount of money. What would you like to do with it? We can take it as a distribution and pay tax, or do we want to reduce some of that, put it into your investment for your future? And can you afford to take a little bit less of a distribution if you've been taking a paycheck? And that's how I work with my team of Megan Coberly, the landscaping bookkeeper, and Sheila Chaplin. That's how we literally have our meetings, and the questions are asked that way, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough that Al's people who do these things for us, they allow you to call them and ask questions and whatnot. Yes, I'm sure if I had to do it on my own, I could do it on my own. But it's just nice to know that you can talk to somebody about it and change things around when you want to.
Well, enough of the financial stuff. As much as it's fun and I love numbers, I'm sure we're
Yep.
boring people with that. So, what else do we're going in a review of 2023, but what else do you see in your glass ball? We have possibly a new grub control product on a
I hope.
horizon.
I hope.
Yeah, I actually reached out to Mr. Rice the other day just via LinkedIn just to see how things are going, and he was hopeful that right after the holiday,
Yeah.
everyone will be back to work and kind of doing what they're doing. He says the thing's right on the edge. He goes, it just needs to be kicked off the cliff and ready to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was hoping that it was going to be the 15th of December, but obviously that didn't happen. And yeah, that's kind of what I am hoping to. it needs to. I mean, it really doesn't make a lot of sense why it wouldn't, to be honest with you. But that's the crap that we deal with in this industry when it comes to registering products. And it costs a lot of money to get these products registered. And these are the stumbling blocks that you have to go through. And it sucks, especially because it's an active ingredient that's already here. Just a different percentage load. But I really do.
It's wild because FMC is, and we're talking about Durantis. If people aren't aware of what we're talking about, they just posted on LinkedIn that they're going to be at the big golf show out in
I'll be there.
Vegas or wherever it is.
Phoenix.
And that's a Phoenix, right? That's their post is Durantis. It's like, boom, here it is. So it's golf, it's ag. We just needed to get into the turf and ornamental, and it's just paperwork. It's all it is. It's the government holding it up, unfortunately.
Other than that, new wise, I don't know how many new products we're going to see fungicide, insecticide, herbicide wise in the next couple of years. There's a lot of products that I keep hearing about in the pipeline, whether they're alternate brand or from the basic manufacturers. There's a lot of products in the pipeline, but it just seems like it's taking longer and longer for these products to get registered. I don't know if it's total shortage of people in our EPAs and departments like that in each state, or it's just getting tougher and tougher to get a product into the industry, which I think it's a combination of both. So I understand the frustration on FMC side. I also understand the frustration on the end user side because we want some answers, and it sucks because you wish it could just be black and white or cut and dry, whatever you want to say, but it's just not, and it never will be. Never will be.
Yeah. So to go down that path of new things, and what new products are you seeing in the future other than Durantis? Because I know you've brought some cool things together, but there's also other products out there that are coming around.
Just some new generics that are going to be coming out, or alternate brand, I like to call them. There's going to be, probably this is going to be more like 2024, 2025. And again, this is all hearsay right now because it's not labeled, right? Or it's not federally approved. So it's all hearsay right now. So, but pyraclostrobin, I'll use the scientific names. It's one that has been tried before and it got, I guess, there's always how do I say this? When a basic manufacturer has a product, there's always like a carryover period, and the company tried to get it in before and I could be speaking out of my ass right now. So this is just
we typically do.
But there was like a carryover period of some sort, and they made the product and got sued and basically had to burn the product because it wasn't going to be able to be sold until 2025, from what I'm understanding. There's quite a few insecticides that are coming to play. There's going to be I can't think of the name of it, but it's more of a golf ornamental product for ABWs and for some tree problems, greenhouse product. I can't think of the name of it, but it's an interesting product, but it's not really the lawn care side of the business. But I can't really say too many off the top of my head, to be honest with you. I'd have to go into the list that I was looking at, but there's going to be a couple. Fungicide wise, there's nothing out there that excites me except for pyraclostrobin. I do believe that there's some good combinations you can go after with using a fungicide and adding a product to it to make it work better or enhance it, so to say. Because we've been saying this all year. Our biggest problem in residential lawn care is dollar spot, especially here in the Northeast. I can't speak down south or out west, but here in the Northeast, dollar spot was running rampant, and we need something that is going to control dollar spot somewhat in the residential market because it's out of control. I just don't know if we'll ever have it. I wish I could sit here and tell you that there's going to be some silver bullet out there preventatively. if we can get more people doing preventative apps and rotating their products, yeah, maybe we could do something. But preventatives, I hear this a lot every 30 days. I just don't. If the weather is bad, a fungicide's not going to last 30 days. It's just not.
So, do you want to make your prediction of what our problems are going to be for 2024 turf? I mean, I do it every year, and never in 1,000 years would I have guessed what happened this year.
Well, let's talk about this year first. I mean, and
All right.
short. Not we won't go totally into it, but look, and again, this is more here in the Northeast. I can't really say what went on throughout the country, but from what I understand, everybody was kind of fighting the same battle.
Well, I mean, there's other areas that have been in extreme drought, and I feel bad even talking about what we're having over here when they're what we had the summer before. But I'm waiting for the final numbers, but we're over 65 inches of rain this year in Connecticut, which is the third wettest year on history, which is crazy.
Wow, and
Crazy
that was
amount of water.
more, and that was July on.
Correct.
Because look, we started out dry as a bone here in the spring.
Cold and dry.
Cold and dry. And regardless, of what, it's cool, it's dry, yeah, got a lot of work done, but fertilizer didn't work the way it needed to work because it wasn't getting watered in. It's just the plant wasn't actively growing. And once it did start to actively grow, we just come in and cut 4 inches at a time off the grass and put it under more stress. And that happened until about the third week of June here in New Jersey. And where, let's just say that's our third application here. And you might have had one application of nitrogen that actually did something at that point. And then we started getting rainfall. And that grass was like, dude, I ain't got enough food. Here it comes. Boom, mycelium everywhere. It was awesome. I mean, from my perspective, it was awesome just to see it, but not for your perspective or
No, sir.
my customer's perspective. It was like, holy crap, what do we do? But and it wasn't, I will tell you this, I wasn't like, go spray fungicides. I really wasn't. Because I just don't think that was the answer. Unless you're going to come back every 10 to 14 days and spray a different product. So it was more like, let's try to grow it out with some nitrogen, low amounts of nitrogen, grow it out with some biostimulants and stuff like that. And then it stopped raining at the end of July a little bit, and it seemed to subside itself a little bit, but then it started raining again. So we've had a crazy up and down year, right? We, dry, rain. And until recently, we were dry all fall here in New Jersey. So a lot of grub problems this year, more than I've seen in a long time. A lot of sod webworm problems, more than I've seen in a long time. So to say that these things are going to become an even bigger problem next year, obviously it's a crystal ball that we don't have. But right now, look at the weather we're having right now. I am sitting at my kitchen table on December 29th.
It's crazy.
2023, and it is 58 degrees outside. The wind's not blowing. We've gotten some rain recently, so that's something that we didn't have last December. We probably have gotten about 5 to 8 inches of rain here in New Jersey in the month of December, depending on where you're at. Some areas a little locally a little heavier. But grass is still pretty green. I think if I went and cut my grass, I think my lawn would really be greener. Is this going to continue? God, I hope not. I want to see some snow.
We need it.
I'd like to see some snow cover, not just for a couple of days. I know a lot of guys are chomping at the bit they're sitting on ice melt from last year. And, they need a couple ice events to get rid of it, So for that standpoint, I hope it does snow so these guys can recoup some of that money that they lost the last year or two from lack of snow. But we needed to get colder too, so we can, I don't know, put the turf to bed, so to speak, because I don't think it's totally gone to bed yet.
It needs that.
Yeah.
it's in and out of dormancy, and it's really the worst thing for the plant. It just doesn't know what to do. It's like,
Yep.
do I go to sleep? Do I not? Do I go to sleep? And it's back and forth, back and forth. And I'm just sick of the mud. But again, I don't. Here we
Yeah.
are complaining about our weather, and we have other folks that are listening where it is dry, it is
Yep.
hot still, or if we want to talk snow, I watch YouTube. I really don't watch mainstream TV, and I watch Spencer Lawn Care, all these guys that are out that make a living off of snow, and they haven't had squat.
I know.
Even Glenn Deep Roots up in New
Yeah.
York, I think he's back to rain now. I don't think he has
Yeah.
any snow on the ground.
You know, I don't know what we call it. Was it La Nina that's coming through right now?
It's the lady one, La Nina.
Yeah. So that means, I guess, the jet stream goes up to Canada, right? And then it comes down like kind of below us, so to say.
Correct. Yep.
So that the storms ride that jet stream. But from what I'm not a meteorologist or anything like that, but from what I've seen, it's a little bit later this year than it normally is.
And they claim it's going to flop, but all their claims really haven't been very valid.
No,
it really hasn't.
Bring back Jim O'Brien from back in the day. He was better predictor of weather back in the day.
And it's hard for these guys that do snow and count on that revenue. I mean,
all the money you're putting out.
And the clients don't realize, like I've talked to quite a few snow guys, and there's actually two that I consult with and help with their bids. And it's changed. All the bids are changing now to where there's a fee to be ready for snow removal for your property. Before, when snow was coming, you didn't worry about it too much because you knew you were going to get up here. We worked on 24 to 26 events a year, whether it's going to be plowable. And we had a matrix of 0 to 1, 1 to 3, how many this and how many above 12. And I have all the sheet that does all the calculations for me, but those aren't happening anymore. So now they're putting out an amount of money for me to be ready and prepared for your property. You have to, because like you said, that equipment is expensive. And a lot of these guys rent equipment in to increase their workload. So they're paying those rental fees on, if it's not a seasonal contract, if it's just a per inch storm, that they're not getting any return on. So they have to get that recovery.
Yep. I don't think they're going to have a choice. If we don't get snow this year, I don't think we're going to have a choice to have to charge some kind of fee to have snow equipment on a site. I just don't think there's a choice. Every year you got to go buy new shovels, right? Because shovels, well, maybe not since last year, since it didn't snow. So you might be all right there this year, but there's always snow blowers that have to be replaced. There's trucks that always seem to have to be replaced, plows, whatever it might be. The snow boxes. I would imagine those things are tripled in price than they were 3 years ago. So all these things cost money, and if we're not getting that revenue in the wintertime to help offset this stuff, there's going to come a time where there's going to have to be a fee, like you said. I don't know what that fee is.
Sure,
we call it, but there has to be.
Yep, it's part of business.
Yeah, and it's it's just like again, like I'm looking out my window right now, and I'm like, maybe I'll go spray something on my lawn this afternoon. It's so nice out. I mean, it's
crazy.
like, it's just like, wow, maybe I could put some humic acid out right now. I have some water soluble humic acid. Maybe I'll put some out today. I don't know, because I think the rest of the weekend is supposed to be sunny and warm. So, I just know if I was still doing, I would be trying to capitalize on this right now. How, I don't know, but I would try to. But predicting for 2024,
that's a tough one.
I see a lot of stability
in how
fertilizer prices and chemicals,
which is good. So that's going to be stable pricing. So you're pretty confident with people's. Oh, sorry.
Confident? I don't know about that.
Compared to the volatility we've had over the last 2 years.
Let's just say this. I'll say that we're going to see our normal increases in the spring. And then by the time summer rolls around, we'll see the decreases again.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, that could change in a blink of an eye because of what goes on overseas with India, China, all these other countries that buy bigger tenders of urea. Then the other obstacle we have is transportation in our country. Those costs are going to continue to go up. So, whether urea goes down our transportation costs could go up, right? So, we talked about insurance earlier. Insurance costs are going up, so that increases our transportation cost. I hope I'm wrong on that standpoint, but I hope that we start getting rain in the Mississippi River, because that can cause trucking to go up in price because there's no rail cars going out or trains going out and things like that. So, because if we can't get the barges up the Mississippi River,
It's
that's not a good thing.
it's crazy. There's so many variabilities
Yeah.
to just fertilizing a lawn.
But if I was a betting man, I think it's going to be, let's just say it's going to be stable, up and down a few points till midsummer. That's the way I see it right now. Again, let's talk about it in a month and I might tell you something different, but that's the way it looks right now. There are some chemical prices that are going to go up in the first quarter. How much, I don't know. But for the most part, everything else is pretty stable, to down a little bit. It just really, it depends on what the chemicals did with chemical companies did with forecasting this year. If they forecast it right, we should be pretty steady throughout the year. And if they didn't, well, and to be honest, do I blame them if they didn't forecast properly? No, because nobody wants to sit on inventory anymore. We've already seen what it's done this fourth quarter with sitting on inventory from COVID. So I don't think that's going to be a thing of the future, to be honest with you. I could be wrong. But it is what it is. Now, seed, I do see an increase in seed coming. I think this spring right now, is pretty steady. But once the fall crop is gone, let me rephrase this. Yeah, the fall crop is gone from 2023. From what I've heard, pure speculation, because it's December of 2023, that there's going to be some increases in tall fescue, bluegrass, and ryegrass. Not going to be like it was.
And that's a production issue of weather, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's not going to be like it was, but like I said, what if forest fires happen again out there? There's a lot of what ifs in our industry right now. And so everything that I'm saying means a hill of beans, because what if this happens? What if that happens? So there's a lot of variables that cause things to go sideways or higher. So
yeah. And again, we're just trying to get a rough feel of what's going on. Yep. I know my early order this year per bag price is lower than it was last year.
100%.
And that's a good thing.
Yep.
But again,
did you lower your price?
No, sir. No. Because I have so many other things. Well, one of them is I changed my herbicide for round one, which is expensive as hell. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's going to be a better result for the customer and allowing me to go out earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
But that overran the cost of the bag price going down. That's for damn sure.
Yep.
And I did all the matrix. I mean, it is what it is.
It's
but there's some troubled weeds that we deal with up here that if I can just get all my ivies and violets knocked out in the spring and out of my hair, the rest of the season should be a breeze for weed wise.
Remember the weed I was trying to think of the last podcast?
Bittercrest?
Bittercrest.
Yeah.
I have not seen bittercrest yet this year. I was literally outside before I came on the podcast today.
It's probably too hot for it.
Yeah. I was thinking about going outside and doing the podcast because it's so nice out and my whole house has been sick for the last 2 weeks. So I figured, sit outside for a couple of hours and, be good for me. But I got the windows wide open in front of me to get some fresh air in here. But I have not seen bittercrest. Now, I don't know if that's, hey, did we do a great job post-emergent broadleaf weed control in the spring? I don't know. But I have not seen one not one grass plant. And I renovated my lawn this year. I figured I would have had it all over my backyard.
Yeah, you figured you'd stir it all up and
Yep.
ready to go. Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe Sublime did a great job and really hit the seeds hard. I don't know.
So, did you sublime before your seeding?
No, I rounded up.
Oh,
I
that's right.
killed
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
You
I killed it.
sterilized.
Yeah, I killed it.
That's right. I forgot
You
about
know, actually somebody asked me about it a couple weeks ago, and they were asking like how it went and all that stuff, and because originally I had said I was going to go all bluegrass, but I changed my mind on that and went fescue and bluegrass, and I'm glad I did. But I also, when we were talking, um, I said, well, I'm going to challenge myself this year, and I went out and bought a few extra sets of blades. They're going to be sharper than hell. I got them balanced. It's another thing about sharpening blades that I don't think we do a good enough job with is balancing those blades. Um, so at the end of the day, I am going to cut my lawn at 2 inches this year, the entire year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I'm
Gonna train it.
I'm going to train it. And I'm also, we were talking off camera before you went into your surgery, I'm also going to do growth regulators this year.
Yeah.
And that should help it not only with the height, but also with getting it denser, because growth regulators will have that effect. And I'm not going to do Trinexapac. I am going to do, I can't the Pro Hex, which is generic anew. I had gotten some product from that company. I was supposed to do some trials this past year. I was just so busy I couldn't do it. So I'm gonna also I didn't have the backpack sprayer that I have now to do it. So it makes life a lot easier when you have a flow zone to spray your lawn. So I'm definitely going to be doing a couple applications of that. But I'm going to play around with some rates with my front and backyard. But I'm going to put a little Trinexapac in there as well. But very light amounts of that. And we'll see what happens. There's quite a few growth regulators out there. You have the Pro Hex, Trinexapac, Paclobutazol. Don't I don't think it's even labeled for residential lawns. But with the amount of, how do I say this? It can damage all your grasses pretty hard. So I don't recommend that one at all. Unless maybe down south, I don't know. And then there's some golf ones that I know aren't registered for the lawn care side, but just your standards are fine in lawn care, I believe. Trinexapac is probably going to be your least expensive. But Pro Hex has a longer half-life. Meaning when you get into the summer months, Pro Hex has a half-life of about 17 days, where Trinexapac probably is about, when it gets into like July, you might be lucky getting 5 days of a half-life out of it. So what happens is most will start increasing their rates in the summer months to get more longevity out of it. But when you do that, you could cause other issues as well with yellowing and overstimulating and all that kind of stuff. So I don't recommend that. Um, so
Sounds like there's
just,
a lot to learn on our
yeah,
episode of
there
growth
is.
regulators.
There is. And I'm going to do some trials with it. Now, there are some products, not just of ours, but of other companies out there who sell similar products that work tremendously with growth regulators. We could talk about that at another time when we have Welsh turf. Is it Welsh Turf Solutions?
Yeah. Yep.
On here. But there are some biostimulants and other things that you can apply with these products that will actually enhance them, as well as just give you better overall turf health. So that's something we can discuss at another time with him. And but yeah, I think it's something that we need to consider. And like I said, if you're not 100% sold, and probably nobody is, take a job site. Take one that you grows like a weed. Take it and go run with it and see what it does for you.
Yeah.
Because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that it will reduce mowing, it will reduce clippings, and overall health of the plant's going to be better than it was without it. So now, look, you can't go do it. When the grass is actively growing, it just grew 8 inches in 1 week, and I'm going to go put growth regulators out. No, you got to start it prior to it happening. So, I think it's a good idea. Like in our region, April 1 to April 15, and then come back 3 to 4 weeks later and do a second app to get through that spring crunch. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised what that can do for you. I know a lot of owners look at it as an extra expense, but labor is always going to be your most expensive cost, hands down.
Very true.
So if you can reduce your labor by 25%, it's going to save you some coin. If he can get 2 more jobs done a day, think of it that way, maybe 2 to 5 more jobs done a day, because he's not having to cut it. He or she's not having to cut it 2 or 3 times to get the clippings off.
Right. Double cut, triple cut.
Yeah. Because that's our issue in the spring, is that the grass is going to grow whether it has fertilizer or not.
And then people typically pound nitrogen application 1 on top of it.
Yep,
and that's
absolutely.
that's where you'll get the most complaint from either service company or the homeowner that, I'm cutting this thing every 2 days. Again, it's how you put it to bed. Grass naturally wants to wake up and do its thing.
Once you mow it, it's going to grow.
Correct.
Once you grow it, it's going to start. You're stimulating.
You light the fuse. Yeah, you light the fuse.
And it's yes, with the more nitrogen, yes, it's going to grow even faster, no doubt. But at the same time, it is, again, if it's something that you want to have some conversations about, you can always call me, sidebar me, or talk to your salesman in your area. Shoot me an email. You don't have to call me. You can shoot me an email. I'll shoot you some information. But I think it's something that definitely needs to be discussed in our market. We are going to have a webinar thing in February at some point. I don't know the dates. They're getting it together. And one of those conversations is going to be about growth regulators in the lawn care market. I think it's important that we start having this conversation. Even if you're in another state, log on, learn about it, whatever. We can only get so many states for pesticide credits. But one thing I will also encourage about pesticide credits is don't wait until the last year to get your pesticide credits.
So it's funny you say that. This year was my renewal year. In Connecticut, it's a 5-year license.
Same as New Jersey.
Okay. We need 12 credits, yada, yada, yada. And I was actually talking to Glenn Stevens this morning about it, about my license just came back. And in New York, you cannot do them in your last year.
Really?
Yep. So they have to be spread out over your license period, he's saying. And I do the same thing. Like I took a couple online ones this year already that were null and void because I didn't need the credits. I needed 12. I think and he's the same way. Now, when you take these credits, supposedly whoever's providing the credits supplies them to the state itself and they put them into your account. And we all know how trustworthy we are of the state doing something correctly. So I get copies of them and I download them into it or upload them into the system. I think I had 26 or 28 credits for my 12 that I need. I just constantly are on looking at them. And guys, FMC has a great outreach of credits that I've already taken 2. I have another one signed up for, and I don't even have credits in Connecticut for it. It's an hour. You know what? I can learn something in an hour.
Yep.
And if you get a credit, because they have a huge outreach of states that credits are available, it's free. You click on. So I find it on LinkedIn, FMC. I get the announcements. I'm doing one on, what is it? Formulations and calculations. And there's no credits for Connecticut. Oh, well, it's another hour of learning I get. And I just continually look for those and take those over my 5 years. Why? Because I want to learn more.
Well, I mean, we always should be learning, whether you're just a mowing company, a landscape company, Christmas lighting, whatever it might be. We always should strive to be better than what we were the year before, in my opinion.
100%.
I try to do the same thing on my end. I'm always learning about new technologies and new products. I just had a conversation with a guy the other day about a product and I'm just like, dude, I'm not ready for it. It's just way over my head technology wise. And I just don't see where it's going to fit into the lawn care market unless regulations come. So I'm not even going to get into it what it was, but at the end of the day, there's technology out here that can really, really help. We just need to educate ourselves on it and, make us better turf managers. I think there's a lot of talk about spraying this year. I've had a lot of conversations in the last few weeks about guys changing their programs and whatnot, and I think it's great. I think it's awesome that guys are really starting to look into the whole spraying thing. But I also like granular, man. I think granular has its place. I think there's times where it's necessary.
Yeah, I think it's a
Um,
partnership.
yeah, I mean, and if you're all sprayer, if you want to be all spraying, God bless you. I'm not gonna say
And
it's a bad thing.
and if
It's
you
not a bad
are
thing.
if you are all liquid, and we know Chris Stout is,
Yep.
please come on.
Yeah.
Please, so we can learn more.
Yeah.
It's not, we're not making fun of you by any means. We want to learn more about it because I don't know enough about it and I want to know more about it. I want to do more of it.
I've had a lot of conversations with guys shortening their intervals of applications come May, June, July, and August and September. Instead of getting out there every 6 to 8 weeks, shorten it down to 30. So they're on these properties more times during the summer because of the events that we had going on this year. So that's also a topic of conversation here in the Northeast. I know it's like we've always been trained 5, 6, 7, 8 step programs, and we'll be at your house every 6 to 8 weeks. The way our weather's been the last few years, I mean, it's been more than the last few years. It's probably been the last 30 years. It's so unpredictable that I just think we need to be on properties more frequently in the summer months. Maybe it's not until July when the weather really does take a curtail, but if you can be there, let's say 3 times in the summer opposed to 1.5, that seems to be, figure June, and then you don't come back until mid-August, the end of August, you could really upsell at that point. And then number two, solve more issues
Yeah.
being on the property a little bit longer. Sell that green kalinga, sell that nuts edge. Maybe there's some chinch bug problems going on. Maybe there's some nematode problems going on that aren't being diagnosed. Whatever it might be. But I just think in the last couple of years we've kind of hit that wall where I think we just need to be on the properties a little bit more frequently in the summer.
So that brings up a great point. I think we got maybe 2 or 3 more topics and we'll wrap this up, but that kind of spurred a thing. I think I'm going to reach out to Creative Content by Jessica to come up with a post for us to type in your goals for this year. What are
Great
your
idea.
goals as a company that you
Great
want to do?
idea.
And I'll talk a few of mine quickly. Mine is 100% to shorten my interval times. That would have been very helpful for me this year with the
Yep.
weather conditions. Now, what have I done to be secure with that goal? Is I bought new equipment. I bought better equipment that's coming this year that's going to allow me to do that. So that was my holdback. Once the posts come out of what I roll out this spring, man, it's just going to be stand back. I can't wait. I'm so excited
Nice.
for my new steel greens that are coming, set up the way that I'll be able to be, I don't even want to say faster, more efficient on the turf so that I can be back at your property sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is going to make my properties so much better, which that's one of my goals. And I'll have more, but I think we all should just put 2 or 3 goals in the comments and see what they are, because we're going to learn from each other's goals of what you have that we can work towards ourselves. Maybe we're not at that level and something we can aspire to, or maybe it's a goal that we have accomplished and we can help that customer or that person accompany that. And I'm not saying me, people within the chat can do that. So
I agree.
I'll reach out to Jessica for that. I think it's cool. We all need goals and we need to push
100%.
ourselves. And it could be come up with a financial planner or meet a bookkeeper, or it could be a different machine or different product. Whatever you think your goals need to be, let's put those in some text and start helping each other with that. next is going to be our know your numbers, what's in your bag deal. So
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't heard, we are going to be doing a Zoom meeting to all people that are interested, and you can reach out to Doug, you can reach out to me on social media so we can get your email on our list so that when the meeting is ready to come, and it's going to be live on Zoom, and we'll have the whiteboard. We're all figuring this out so we can have sheets up. Doug and I aren't the smartest guys in the world with computers, but active sheets so we can show you what we're talking about so that we can all learn. It's also going to be taped so it's on YouTube so you can go back to it and
Mm-hmm.
reuse that information. So that's kind of what we're working in the background of building. So if you want to be on that list, please, it's free, as many as we can get. I think our Zoom account we have, we can put 100 people on it. That would be baffling if we had 100, but anyway, the more the merrier. And we are going to ask people to chime in. This is not a dictatorship of just Doug and I talking.
It was funny. So I had 2 calls this week about filler in bags, and one was a customer who said that he picked up a new customer because he pointed out all the filler on the person's lawn and
Yep.
said, "You see all this here? This
All those
is all
nice rocks."
stone that's doing nothing for you, and this is, something that I don't put in my fertilizers. I have all product in my fertilizer, and you know, part of the reason why my lawns look better than everybody else's in the area." So, um, and then another customer called me up, a new customer that's coming aboard, and he goes, "Yeah, I was listening to the podcast a few months ago. I remember you talking about filler in a bag, and I was at one of my commercial sites, a new commercial site they just picked up for snow and hopefully the maintenance as well." And he was like, "You could see all the stone filler all over the lawns." And I'm like,
Doesn't go away.
Well, I mean, eventually it will go back into the soil, but
Yeah, it gets pushed in.
it has no agronomic value at all." And, I know there's some out there that'll say, "Oh, well, they put it in there for fertilizer to spread better." I don't agree with that one. But at the same time, I get it. It does cost more to put more stuff in a bag, but if you use the right bag and do the math and do the numbers, it's it's pennies. I literally just put 2 programs together for a customer, does about 150 acres. And he wanted one for just spraying and one for granular. And the spraying side of it came out to like before pre-emergence. So this has no pre-emergence on the liquid side, or herbicides for that matter. This was just fertility and specialty products. Dude, it was like $1.10 per 1,000 square foot. And on the granular side, it came out to be like, I don't know, in the $1.40 to $1.60 range, in that ballpark when it was all said and done. And then so he decided that he's going to do half and half. So he brought his average cost down to like a $1.20, $1.22. And then obviously the pre-emergents are going to change that number a little bit, but it's just amazing, when you look at your numbers and not just what it costs per bag. And he did say, he goes, "Yeah, I got cheaper cost on pre-emergence, but when it was all said and done, you still came up less expensive than, that." So
And that's
why I
what we
think it's
want to
important.
break down, just so when you go to a counter or you're going through it in your office, you're comfortable with how these numbers and where they're coming from, because
Mhm,
you literally have to break it down product for product and
mhm.
how you can deliver them to your client and be more efficient and possibly save money. And that this isn't a push to do all liquid by any means. It's understanding what's in what.
Well, it's funny. It's like with fertilizer prices down, I find it funny that we're still pushing 10.00.
Yeah, it's got to be an inventory thing. I'm not sure
I don't
what
know.
it is. I mean, we're trying to figure that out.
I
It's
I really don't even understand that part of it, but to each his own.
Yep.
But yeah, it's love to see more people getting signed up for this. And again, you don't have to be from our area to get in on it. You want to learn more
It's
about this stuff,
it's
hop
not going
on.
to matter on the type of product you're using at all.
Right.
So if you're if you're left coast, if you're Midwest, if you're down south, if you're up north,
Yep.
it's all just about the financials of it. And we're going to have a bunch of different things of, stop charges and what should I be charging, man, return rate, all those crazy things, overhead, what should my balance sheet look like or start with if I'm starting a business, so I have my right chart of accounts, all the stuff we never talk about, but the stuff that's so important off season to get set up so the rest of your year goes well.
Well,
And
you and I are going to have to set a date because I'm getting a lot of questions like, when's the date? When's the
okay,
date? When are
yeah,
you
we'll,
doing
we'll
it? So
pick
we're
a
going to
date
have to set a
after
date.
right after New Year's, and that's good because it'll push us as a goal to
Yep,
get all the homework done that we need to do ahead of time.
exactly.
And then one of the, I think probably the last thing, because it's not a super long one, but I'm getting the evil eye from my nurse, my wife, that I need to get on my ice pack, which I agree with her. She's been amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Such an amazing help. But Creative Content by Jessica also has created some pretty cool swag. I'll lean back so people on YouTube are seeing it. We're actually thinking about opening a little store to put some swag. So we have sweatshirts right now. We're getting prices on t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts. There's tumblers and coffee cups, but we're thinking of doing a little swag shop. So if it's something you're interested in, again, it's just going to cover the cost of the product. Reach out to us. I think we're going to start selling a few of them and see if we can just get our name out a little bit more. And actually, she did a phenomenal job. They look cool as hell. They really do.
Yeah.
She's
did a great job.
And if you're looking for stuff like this, reach out to her. She's got a creative mind that just doesn't stop. I mean, she's constantly going. I just see what she's doing with other companies. A lot of times she'll pass some things by me. She says, "Hey, can you take a look at this?" I'm like, "Oh, damn, I want that." What do you mean? What are we, the redheaded stepchilds now? You've used us, right? And now no, she's doing a phenomenal job. So Creative Content by Jessica. She's aboard with us. We have Landscaping Bookkeeper, Megan and Joey Coberly. We have Sheila Chaplin, Certified Financial Planner. They all can be Googled and found. We are moving forward and working with Ezra McCarthy, which is Green Frog Website Design, which is a really cool feature. That one will be coming up, but he's actually going to be a sponsoring of our show, which is exciting. Having really our second sponsor between Jessica and Ezra, and hopefully more to come. And again, that isn't all to be a money-making thing. That's just available so we can offer more to you guys. That's really what it's all about. We have 100%. Jobs.
Yep, 100%.
This is all for fun, and we hope people are enjoying it. So in closing, Doug, what do you have other than we're going to get Jessica to do a post on goals, and I really like to see people get involved in that. I'm going to try to get this on YouTube in sequence to this being released, which would be the Tuesday after the beginning of the year.
Well, first off, obviously it's New Year's. You'll hear this after New Year's, but it is New Year's Eve weekend, and just everybody be safe and don't go too crazy, and Uber, Lyft if you have to.
Don't be a professional.
Right. Don't like we were when we were younger. But let's start off 2024 with a bang, and let's just go out and make it the best turf year we've all ever had. And I think there's some exciting things in our industry right now. Product wise, talent wise, the whole 9 yards. And I think collectively we can all make it better than we were in 2023.
Yeah, mine is going to be part of this goal setting. I think it's very important. I haven't done that in a while to set these goals, and on top of being more efficient and on properties sooner, my next goal is going to be asking for help. And that's hard for all of us to do. And whether it's on the turf and or in this amazing audience we have of getting some help, learning some better products or better ways to do things, I am a sponge. I am here to learn from any one of you guys that are listening. I love when you guys respond to us. Doug and I we love that. The interaction's cool. It's so much that we can learn. So please do never hesitate to email us, text us, however form you have of us. We are here as open platforms for sure.
Yep. No doubt.
Cool. With that, like I said, it's been an amazing year. Thank you very much for the growth that we've had over 1 year. It's kind of baffling to me that we were just two older guys that jumped on some new equipment that we've never seen before. We have moved up to a new recorder, the Rode Podcaster 2, which I literally just got working 20 minutes before Doug came on, which I'm happy with. So we got all kinds of cool things like this, and we can do all that crazy stuff, but that's not our style, but they'll be there if we need them. So everyone, Happy New Year to you all. Be safe. Have a wonderful New Year. Set goals, and let's make this a wonderful new 2024.
100%. Happy New Year, everybody.
All right, guys. Catch you next week. That is done.
Well, you go get your.
Yeah, I'm
cold-
getting the stink eye from the
I can
window.
only imagine. I can only imagine.
All
And,
right, brother. If I don't talk to you before, have a wonderful new year. And
You do the same.
I'll get this shit out in the air. It's awesome.
Awesome. See you, dude.
All right. Thanks, Doug. Bye.
Bye.